All right, all right. Welcome, everyone. I see the chat is already live. Where are you guys connecting from? What's up, Think Capital? How we doing? All right. Connecting from South Africa, Africa. Lovely, lovely. All right. It's good to see you guys. Appreciate the patience. You guys, you've been connecting. You've been waiting for me for a few minutes. That's cool. So let's let's begin our session for today. I'm going to teach you guys and talk to you guys about detachment, yeah, and how to master our emotions, especially in to do with attachment. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you all. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Looks like we're good. All right. We got traders in Pakistan, India, Kenya. Fantastic. The East End. All right. We got a local. All right. All right. So, yeah, let's begin. Welcome. Let's start with an honest truth, a truth that stings. And it's that most traders, they don't fail because of strategy. They fail because they're too emotionally attached to outcomes. Think about it. You can have an A plus setup, the best technical setup. You've back tested and you have the data. It can look flawless. But when there's real money on the line, suddenly you're sweating, you're second guessing, you're over managing. So, this session is about detachment. And it's not about being careless, it's not about not caring. It's just, it's more about being free from the emotional attachment we get, free from letting a single trade decide your mood, how your day's going, or even your identity. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Rodrigo Antonio, and I am a trader psychology coach. I've coached over 100 traders, and we've been able to unlock over $20 million in funding and over $2 million in payouts. So, in the last 11 years since I started trading, I've built systems for traders. I've built systems that allow traders to find ways to detach, to focus on the process. And today we're going to explore some neuroscience, some CBT, and NLP that can help you detach. And of course, I'll be giving you some practical frameworks that you can use right away. So remember, when you're on one of my streams, you got to take notes, keep engaging in the chat, and I'm going to be doing answering your questions throughout. So we'll wrap everything up in uh, in the next 40 minutes or so. All right. So who's ready? Tap a one in the chat for me. So when you care too much, the market ends up owning you. Think about it. When you feel excited, when you're feeling joyous, and especially when a trade is in the green, you feel good, right? But as soon as it crashes and the trade goes into red, your whole emotional world gets tied to every single tick. Who knows what I'm talking about? Type a me in the chat. So what ends up happening is you overtrade, you hesitate, you start cutting the winners early because you're fearful, or worse, you spiral into this domino effect of revenge trading after just one loss. And this isn't trading, is it? This is emotional gambling. And the cost is huge. You waste mental energy, physical energy, or what's worse, you damage your discipline, you damage your own identity, and you end up burning out. It's exhausting, isn't it? So here's the paradox, that you need to care less about the result and more about the process. Does that make sense? Tap a yes in the chat. You need to care less about the outcome and more about the process. So the less desperate you are for the outcomes and the results, the more consistent those outcomes become. It's a paradox, isn't it? And when you when you exert yourself for a particular outcome and you really want to make it happen, you end up pushing it away. Yeah. It's like it's like when you're trying to attract your future wife and you trying your hardest, and then you just end up pushing her away because you end up so desperate. Who knows what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's a similar thing in trading. If you're chasing those wins, you're going to push them away from you because you end up in these emotional swings. And that's not what we're here for. We're not here for emotional gambling. Yeah. So let's talk about the science of attachment. When, but to do this, we need to zoom into what's happening in our brains. Yeah. So when uncertainty spikes, yeah, when there's like when we don't really know what's going to happen next, which is basically trading, right? We don't really know what's going to happen next. So everything is uncertainty. But when there's a trade on and there is uncertainty, your amygdala kicks off. It's the fear alarm, and that floods your system with cortisol. So this is a natural response of your body where you end up narrowing your focus and you end up in survival mode. You go into fight or flight. And that's why you panic trade, you cut trades, you jump into early, you end up revenge trading because you're trying to get back that loss you just had. So this is the science of the brain chemistry that's happening, the neuroscience of it. And then comes dopamine. So every win gives you a little hit. It's like pulling on a slot machine. Anytime the trade is in the green, dopamine, dopamine. And suddenly you're not trading a system. You're just chasing the next high. Your brain is just addicted to this. So detachment, detachment means getting your prefrontal cortex, the rational part of your brain, back in charge. This is what we want. This is the pilot. This part of your brain is what is the pilot of your brain. This is what needs to be in control. Yeah. So not your alarm system. You don't want your alarm system, your amygdala, to be in control. Otherwise, you're just impulsive. So, when you trade detached, when you there's this feeling of you're relaxed, you're calm, you're composed, you're aware. You're not hijacked by fear, and you're not seduced by euphoria. You're calm, you're focused, you're aligned with your trading plan. That's science of detachment. When this is happening, this is when you're not emotionally hijacked in your trading. Yeah, exactly, guys. Exactly. I can see you guys having a good discussion on the chat. AO Capital says uncertainty is unfamiliar with the human mind, the natural response of the body causing panic. I often experience this, although I am learning to remind myself why I took the trade in the first place. Yeah, always keep reminding yourself. Always review your checklist. Very, very important. Spot on. It's a good question here from Ali. How can we reduce the dopamine levels after having a good trade? Go for a walk. Get off the charts. Yeah. Go splash some cold water in your face. Do go to another room or go outside and do 2 minutes of box breathing. This is going to really help. Yeah. Is that making sense, guys? Everyone with me? Type a yes in the chat. All right. Yeah, I'm not always say type one. I might give you another request and make sure you're paying attention. All right. So let's talk about the psychological insights of letting go. Yeah, letting go is an art. And it doesn't mean you don't care. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means that you care strategically. Okay, now we're being strategic. Now we are creating mental models. Now, research in acceptance and commitment therapy, so ACT, it introduces a concept called cognitive diffusion. And this is where you observe thoughts instead of becoming them. Who knows what I'm talking about? Where you having these thoughts and then you go you step aside and it's almost like you're looking at yourself and you're thinking and you're just being aware of the thoughts that are happening. This is where, for example, you you s- you say something like, "Oh, I lost the trade." It's a fact, right? When you lose a trade, you look that, yeah, I lost this trade. But when you lose a trade but then you say something like, I am a failure or I'm an idiot. This is a fusion. So the first, I lost a trade, that statement, this is the first is data. This is a fact, it's data. The second one is identity. And detachment is about choosing the first one. You choose the fact. I just lost a trade. And you choose to not be attached to the statement, oh, I'm a failure, I'm an idiot. It's the same thing with wanting the outcome. Oh, I need one more trade, and I can get funded. No, that's not what you should. That's fusion. What you should be saying is a fact, and it's I'm only going to trade if my edge presents itself. Yeah, does that make sense? So the best traders, they don't tie their self-worth to results. They measure themselves by consistency of execution. Because if you're consistent, the results eventually follow. Yeah. So next time that you lose, ask yourself, am I becoming the thought or simply noticing it? Yeah. Who's making a decision right now? Am I attaching myself to this thought? Yeah. So just be very mindful of that. And in neurolinguistic programming, you got to reframe your language. So because language is programming, the words you use shape your state, and your state shapes your actions. Think about it. Yeah. Your state, your physical, mental state is very important. The words you use influence the state that you're in. So you got to be very mindful of the things that you say and the things that you think. Yeah, you got to avoid cursing yourself. So if you keep saying, I have to win this trade, your body hears pressure. And when your nervous system feels that pressure, stress starts building up, cortisol levels spike, bang, execution cracks. That's it. You're in survival mode. Just because you say, I have to win this trade. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. You can't control the outcome. So now try to reframe that. Instead of saying, I have to win this trade, say, I have to follow my rules. Yeah. You got to use a third person perspective here. And notice how when you say, I have to follow my rules, when you do that, notice how it removes desperation and it anchors you in process. Yeah. And another NLP trick is to take a third person perspective. So instead of I'm panicking, ask yourself, if I were coaching myself right now, what advice would I give? And when you take this approach, a good coach is someone who is understanding, empathetic, yeah? Someone who talks with kind words, assertive words. So this is how you need to talk to yourself, as if you're giving advice to a best friend. Yeah. N- This is a simple shift that pulls you out of emotional chaos and into more clarity. Remember that your words are levers, so use them wisely. That's right. Kane says, Keen says, bad language literally leads to negative energy. Better reframe. Yeah, absolutely. Spot on. So I want to talk to you about a framework. Yeah. Now, this framework, it will change your trading journal forever. It's so powerful. And that is simply to stop rewarding results and start rewarding your actions. So each day you want to track and measure, did I follow my checklists? You know, your habit checklist, your pre-session checklist, your entry checklist. Did I respect my rules? Did I execute my edge basically? Now, if you did, celebrate it. Reward that. Reward the fact that you respected your risk, that you followed your protocols, that you woke up on time, you did your morning routine. Celebrate that. Reward yourself for that. Your brain's dopamine system will start rewiring itself to chase the process, not profit. That's what you need to focus on. Because the more you chase profit, the more you push it away. The more you chase process, the more your profit, you attract the profits. Yeah. You guys are spot on in the chat. Exactly. I see Mo having an aha moment. He says, that actually makes sense. Instead of counting risk reward count rules followed. That's right. I'm glad. I'm glad you're getting it. Yeah, this I said. It's gonna change the way you journal. And why is this important? It's because outcomes are random in the short term, right? Outcomes come and go, but the process is controllable. You can't control the outcome, but you can control the process. So anchor yourself to the controllable. That's what your focus should be, on what you can control. And the outcome becomes a byproduct of this. This is the framework, guys. This is it. This is how professionals stay consistent. And this is where amateurs, they spiral out of control. Good. It's making sense. Let's move on. Let's talk about breaking the cycle. Yeah. The CBT cycle breaker. CBT stands for cognitive behavioral therapy. And it's a powerful tool. When a trade hurts, write this out: the event, the thought, the emotion, the action, and the new thought. So, for example, it's very simple. You can have this in your trading journal. Yeah. You guys always ask me, oh, what should I do for my trading journal? Well, this is it, guys. Yeah. This should be a part on a spreadsheet. Should be on your TradeZella or whatever journal you use, your Notion. So, what's the event? What happened? Stopped out. Okay. Thought. What thought did you have? Let's say you say, I can't trade. or I can't believe this, I'm useless. What emotion did you feel? Anger. Yeah, that was the feeling. And action, what did you do? You started revenge trading or, over trading. What's the new thought? What should you do instead? You should say, losses are expenses. And as long as I follow my rules, then I'm running a good business. It's that simple. Yeah. Replace the old thinking. And when you start doing this more and more and more repetitively, you break the loop of negative spirals. You literally retrain emotional responses in trading. That's what we're here for, right? We're here to do that. So I'll give you another framework, and it's about utilizing your body before the brain. So your body dictates your brain. So when you're tense, your mind will rationalize impulsive trades. It will think you're in danger. That's why nervous system resets are crucial. So you want to try some box breathing. You want to try 4-second inhales, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold. Do this for 2 minutes, and you'll start seeing how you start feeling more calm. Yeah. Or use some things to get you grounded. Yeah. Grounding is it's what I mean, but do practice some mindfulness. Start naming 5 things that you see. Go outside and look out the window, or go out and look out the window and look. Name 5 things that you see. 4 things that you feel. 3 things that you hear. And what that does, and when you do that with some deep breathing, it pulls your nervous system back into safety, into a reality. Like, I'm safe, everything's okay. And the rule of thumb here is that you should never make trading decisions while your body feels hijacked. You've got to calm the body. If you calm your body, you clear your brain. And when your brain is cleared, you have better execution. Yeah. That's the key, guys. Is that making sense? That's right. Composure. So remember that rituals and routines, they train detachment. Detachment is a muscle. Yeah. It's like the muscle. If you want it to get stronger and bigger, you gotta keep going to the gym. You gotta keep lifting the weight over and over and over again. It's the same thing with detachment. You gotta train it daily. So in the morning, you want to visualize yourself executing calmly. It's not about profiting. It's not about making money. It's about visualizing the process. And during your pre-session, repeat a mantra, an affirmation. I'm a disciplined trader. I respect my risk, not outcomes. And after the trade is done, don't go into rants. Don't go complain. Don't start feeling euphoric. If you start feeling euphoric, go get some air. Go calm yourself down and just be cool. Just compose yourself. Yeah, remind yourself that a reward process every time you do what you're meant to do, what you can control, reward yourself for it. These are rituals where that wire detachment into your nervous system, your body needs to feel calm, composed, and over time the habit becomes automatic. Yeah, is that making sense, guys? So you gotta stop reacting like a gambler, and you gotta start responding like a professional. That's what we're here for. Yeah, and over time you start getting better and better. That's how you consistency is built. It's built through rituals, through routine, through constant practice, not these random bursts of discipline. All right. Looks like a lot of you guys are getting a lot from this session, and it's making sense. It's great. I hope you're making notes. I told you guys to make notes today. So now, now it's your turn. Let me ask you some questions. You should ask me some questions too. I want you to think about, where do you find detachment the hardest? Is it when you're cutting losers? Are you uh, letting you're not letting your winners run? Yeah. Are you watching what happens without you? Are you hesitating? Share this your situation in the chat, and let's talk about what frameworks you can start using. Yeah. And for more tools, case studies, and more trader psychology frameworks, then I suggest connect with me. You can reach out to me on Instagram, and you can also follow me on YouTube and subscribe. All right. So let's go. Let's do a Q&A. So happy to jump on that. Let's see what's going on here. All right. Just making sure there's no. Okay. So Omar says, I cut winners too early and I let losses hold. Why is this? Okay. Now, when you are too attached to the money, when you really want it, what ends up happening is that whenever you're in a very small amount of profit, you feel like you need to protect it. You feel like, I need to close this now in case it reverses on me. So when this starts happening, you need to have these before the trade, before you take the trade, you need to plan the trade properly, and you need to plan for different scenarios. And for every scenario that comes up, you need to have specific statements, reminders. You can even set alerts on the chart at specific price points with notes for you to remind you, Stay in the trade. Hold your winner. It's more important to to hold your trade than to close it early. Trust your process. You need to have these statements written out, or you put them in on your chart. Yeah. So I hope that answers that question. Let's see another question. Mm, So, question: how long have I been trading? I started trading in 2014, and then I stopped trading in 2023, so I can focus full time on coaching. Let's see. There's a question here. Do you have a six pack? I can see those two big biceps. No, I don't have a six pack. I got an eight pack. So, Gospel says, what is the shift in mindset that makes a trader move from break even to becoming profitable? Okay, so this is a good stage to be in. If you're in break even, it means that you got to have more winners, either more winners than losers, or you got to have a better risk to reward. Okay, so if you're going to have a better risk to reward, then you want to have at least a 2.5 to 3 R on average per trade. So your profit factor needs to be, I would say, even 2.3 is good, 2.5 profit factor. And that means holding the trade, not taking any partials, like just let it go to your target. Um, and I would suggest then also reducing your stop loss, as in, like, instead of moving your stop loss to break even, reduce it by 50%. Yeah, so in case it comes back down, it doesn't take you out at break even, but also at the same time, you take a smaller loss than the one before, than the original risk. So hold your winners, cut your losers. Yeah, hold your winners longer. So look at the average time, look at your data, and look at the average time that you of your best trades. How long do you hold those trades for? And then look at the average time of your losing trades. How long do you usually hold a losing trade for? A good trade. These are good trades. So when you analyze that data, you say, okay, I see that my winning trades usually last 1 hour. So if you're 30 minutes in a trade and it's not really going towards your target, just wait, be patient. Yeah. If you're 45 minutes in the trade and it starts retracing, again, be patient. And then when it hits around the hour, you can decide, and you're up maybe 2 hour, 2.5 hour, just it's time to TP, isn't it? So really, it's shifting away from break even is more about data. It's more about knowing your data, and it's more about knowing how to execute on that data. Yeah, does that answer your question? So let's see. So I've just answered a question about this psychology of break-even traders. So I hope that answers that. got a question here from. Okay, let's look at Tony's question. I'm good with static drawdown, but when it comes to trailing drawdown, I tend to have challenges. What's your advice on that? Um, if you are struggling with your trailing drawdown, then I said you need to go back to the drawing board. So if you've been back testing and your strategy is optimized for static drawdown, then you need to trade with prop firms that give you static drawdown. But if you start to change and you're trying to adapt your strategy to trailing drawdown, then you're gonna have to do that. Don't do that on an eval or live. Do that on a demo. Do that on a back test until you have enough confidence and data and rules to trail your stop loss. Then you shouldn't be doing it. Yeah. Hope that answers that. Kane asked a question: how do you overcome fear or greed when making trading decisions? Dopamine kills my confidence. Yeah. So fear and greed are they manifest in different ways, and it's what I said earlier. Yeah. So earlier I said I shared with you a framework. I shared with you 3 frameworks, and so you got to choose maybe 2 of them, the framework. So go back to the recording, go back through this, and look at the first framework I shared with you, which was the process anchor. So you want to anchor your brain towards actions, towards rules and processes. Yeah. And so you want to start using checklists for your forecasting, for your routine, for your risk, your entries, your exits. Have a checklist every single time. Yeah. And then journal the process, as in, like, did you journal things like, I followed my rules? Not, oh, I made this much money, I made this much profit, I feel good. No, say, I feel good because I followed my process. Yeah. And reward yourself for following the process. This, you start to retrain your dopamine loop. Okay. And when you do journal, use the event, thought, the feeling, the action, and the new thought. So every time that you feel that fear or greed, and you say, oh, I was over trading and I was being greedy, and then you felt this anxiety, the action ended up being over trading, just replace it. What actually happened? What's the facts? The fact is you lost the trade. Or the fact is that if you're over trading, if you're being greedy, is that you the fact is that it was a lost trade, or it was a one trade, and there's no need to keep wanting more. There's no need. Just because you want it doesn't mean you're going to get it. It's you guys are you can't trade your desires. You can't trade what you want, because the more you want the money, the more desperate you are, the more you're going to push it away. So the frameworks that I gave you should solve these issues. All right. As I'll take one more question. Velmani says, I have another one. I tend to journal when my trade hits my profit, but I don't, never in a loss. How can I overcome that? So again, you need to reward the process. Like you're journaling only when you take a winning trade. That's like, that means journaling is now only is tied to the outcome of the trade. It's not tied to running a business. Yeah. And so your journaling is emotional as well, as in you only do it when you feel good. So then you've now trained your brain to believe that journaling is a reward, is something that you do when you feel good. But when you don't feel good, you don't journal. When you lose a trade, you don't journal. So you're not collecting data. If you're not collecting data, if you're not tracking, then how can you learn? You can't. Imagine going to school and not writing any notes on a book. How do you think you would do in an exam if you went to school for 5 years in your final exams and you just listened to the teacher, you didn't write anything? How are you going to do in the test? So that I think hopefully that answers your question. So someone says today I breached an account because of excess artificial dopamine. From now onwards, I will take care of my health and my mind. Yeah, sleep good, exercise regularly, meditate, breathe, and when you win the trade, just have a limit. Limit yourself. One trade a day. That's it. Ah, okay. That's right, guys. That's right. So I'm really, really glad that we had a very engaging session today. These think capital streams and this community is amazing. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank the Think Capital team that's helped put this together, and I hope hopefully we can continue these so you guys can benefit from this knowledge. And if you benefited from this, if you've learned something, then share it with the community, share it with your friends, share it with other traders, because more traders need to understand how this works. Yeah, it was a great session. I had a good time as well. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, everyone. Nice, nice. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of the week. Good luck. And until next time, okay? Stay disciplined, guys. Take care.